Hello and welcome to the channel. In this video, we'll be talking about how to improve your credit score. Make sure you hit the like button, turn on the post notification bell, and subscribe so you can see all of our future videos. Also, comment below what you would like to know. First, let's discuss briefly what exactly is a credit score. Well, you see, a credit score is basically a 3-digit number that lenders essentially look at to determine your credibility and your financial trust, whether or not they want to give you money or not, right? They determine how likely you are to repay the money that they lend you based on your credit score. The higher your credit score, the more likely you are to pay back the credit. Therefore, the more likely they'll give you the money. Whereas the lower your credit score, well, they look at you as a risky borrower and they may or may not even want to give you the credit or the loan or lend you any money, right? And the interest rate in which you'll be paying will also be affected depending on how low or how high your credit score is. The higher your credit score is, the better borrower you are, the lower interest rate you'll pay on the credit, meaning they're more confident that you'll pay the loan or the money back. So the less interest they'll charge you. Whereas if you're a risky borrower, you might not pay it back, so they got to charge you higher interest. So the higher your credit score, the better in all circumstances, generally speaking, guys. When it comes to trying to get a loan, maybe a mortgage, maybe a car payment, an apartment, even some jobs, right? So don't worry if your credit's not where you want it to be. You can repair it, and it will take some time. However, it's possible. We're going to go through real quick also how your credit score is calculated, and then we'll get into the steps on how to improve it. So in order for you to understand how your credit score is calculated, first you should be aware that there are essentially 3 credit bureaus that look at your credit score, and together they formulate basically a mathematical algorithm to determine your final score. It's not a matter of all 3 scores having individuality ranking. You know, they're not all separate. They ultimately become one. So you have TransUnion, you have Experian, and you've got, let me think about the other one real quick, Equifax. Okay, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. These are your 3 credit bureaus who report essentially your credit score. They look at all of your reports and they figure out what score you have. Generally speaking, the range is anywhere from 300 to 800, right? 300 on the low side, 800 on the high side. And again, you want to have your score as high as possible. So let's get into how to improve your credit score. The first tip I have for you is to essentially start paying your bills on time, right? You see, paying your bills on time shows that you're responsible. It shows that you have the ability to pay punctually and that when things are due, you meet the deadlines. Establishing good payment history shows that you can be trusted, you can continuously and consistently pay back money that's being borrowed. Therefore, lenders and loans and banks and whoever's giving you the credit, right? They have more confidence in you. They're more likely to work with you and fund you, okay? So start making your payments on time. Therefore, you can start to show a track record of being responsible, right? And as you consistently do that, you'll notice your score goes up. Past performance is usually a good indicator of future performance, right? So make sure you're creating, again, a good track record so they can look back and see, wow, this person is responsible. They pay back their money on time every time. Let's increase their score. Okay. Now, if you're behind on your payments, you got to start catching up with them. You got to start making those payments on time because, again, the more late you are and the less on time you are, the worse your credit score will be, okay? The second tip I have for you to improve your credit score is to essentially pay off your debt, you know, and your balances as soon as you can and keep them low, right? So you got to make sure your credit utilization is essentially under 30%, meaning if you got $1,000 credit limit, try to only use $300 of it, right? So pay off your balances, meaning pay off the money that's paid, or sorry, that you put on the credit card, right? Every month, pay it. Not just the minimal, but the entire balance, right? That way you don't accrue interest on the unpaid amount, right? Pay your entire balance. Don't overcharge the card with money that you don't have to pay back, right? Don't spend money on the card that you can't essentially pay back on time, which will result in a leftover balance, which will then get interest on. Pay off the entire balance, and as you start to have revolving credit lines, if you can't, well, just try to keep it as low as possible, right? Don't rack it up, all right? Don't rack up the credit. Pay it off as much as possible. If possible, always as much, all of it, right? And that's key, guys. Because again, that's going to show the bureaus like, wow, this person doesn't even use that much of their credit, or at least every time they do use that amount, they're paying it on time. Again, they really want to see you not using that much, because why would you need to use so much credit? It's not the best look for you. Lenders aren't comfortable seeing that you take so much of that credit, right? They only want to see you take certain amounts. So this ties into number 3, where in order to improve your credit score, guys, you can start, being careful. A lot of you are very tempted to open up multiple credit lines because they come so often in the mail, and they're propaganda, and they're always solicited, and they're sent to your dorm room, or they're sent to your home, right? And you go to the store and they try to get you to sign up for a credit card, and there's just, everybody's got a credit card. So the key here is to not do that though, right? Only apply for and open new credit accounts when you need them, right? So that's very important, guys. Don't just open accounts, to have a bunch of credit mixes up and have a bunch of different places. That doesn't really improve your score. Unnecessary inquiries, in fact, right, will harm your score. So don't do it just for no reason. Be conscientious and purposeful when you do decide to open up a new credit line. So that also help, the temptation to overspend and accumulate more debt, right? Because if you have a whole bunch of credit lines open up, well, you're going to be tempted to spend. Okay, guys, 4th tip to improve your credit score is essentially don't close your unused credit card lines. So if you've got balances on credit lines and you haven't used them, don't just close them out because you're not using them. Maybe use a little bit, close it out, or pay it off, but don't close it, because the more credit lines you essentially have open, it helps you with the utilization, right? Because they see so many different credit lines and you're not really using all of them. You have more credit established throughout the system, and you're only using a little portion of it, a little percentage of it, right? And you can even spread out balances across all of your cards, making the overall balance lower for you. So just think of it like, owing the same amount but having fewer accounts would actually help, it would lower your credit score. So if you have more accounts, and the same amount, it's going to help you because you have more utilization, you have more credit lines open. So even though you owe the same amount, but you have more utilization, you have more lines, so the credit score will actually go up or maintain. Okay. Next tip I have for you basically is essentially, report any inaccuracies that you have, and dispute any inaccuracies in your credit report. Make sure you're looking at it. Maybe you have to hire a third party to look over your report. Make sure there's not any mistakes. Make sure there's not any charges that you didn't make or any mistakes. Sometimes, they're just people, they're prone to make mistakes. And sometimes there may be something, a red flag on your score or your credit report that, you can fix, which ultimately will help, because any delinquency or any late payment or anything that's marked on your report that's not in fact true, that can be removed, will help you improve your credit score. So just keep that in mind, guys, and understand the importance of credit, guys. Remember, building your credit score will help you get better interest rates. It'll help you get more trust in the financial world. And until next time, stay blessed.